Nina tam?
Huh.
Okay. Bonjour, Nin, Cassandra Spade, Cass Mishkeegogamang Ando-gikendamowin Couchiching Anishinaabemowin Ando-gikendamowin second language learner Ejnikatik. Megwakenin Nabagosendan Iwe Wiji Inakuk Anishinaabemowin Uchkewin Mamoe Nungo Mamoe Mazina'iganikewin Mamoe Mazina'iganikewin Niminandan Niminwendan Jawida no Kiminakuk Nimigwachawendam Gaye Omayayak. So hi everybody, my name's Cass, or please call me Cass. I'm from Mish, but I also grew up on Couchiching. So I know some of those faces who are also from Couchiching. So excited to see you. I'm a second language learner, so all of the mistakes I make today are my own. And thank you for taking the time to share some space with me today as we all continue to work on language together. A couple of things. I have two cameras because we're going to be working on some bookmaking. So if you can pin this, my hands, my lovely hands, and also my face. And just be mindful that my hands are facing this way and my face is facing this way. So I'll try to be doing this as best as I can. Please host yourself well and take breaks when you need to. If you're still eating lunch, please do keep enjoying it. Or if you want a warm cup of tea, please do whatever makes you comfy. If we could use the raise your hand function to ask a question, just because there's quite a few of us in the space, that'll help to avoid sound layering. And then I think in the chat, it's been noted, if you could grab your materials, just Mazina'igan, beige etigo, one piece of paper, Ojibiaganak or Ojibiaganak, some kind of writing objects, and Gemujuagan, and a pair of scissors. Those are what we're going to be needing to make some books today. So I'll give you a second if you want to go grab those. And in the meantime, I'll just keep talking away until we start the making. So today we're going to talk about immersion blocks and infusing a bit of art making into it, especially during a time where there's a lot of Zoom, or we might not be able to gather the way we used to. And so it can be hard to get outdoors and do a lot of land-based activities. So this is just a way to step away from the Zoom and to make something with your hands, or to engage in a classroom, work with the classroom while doing something that's centered around doing and making and kind of like creating. So that's what this is. Everything that I'm talking about today, I've learned from a lot of teachers, elders, community members, some wonderful organizations which are joining us today, like AAG. And so I thank you for all of those things that you've gifted me and you've shown me. And so just sharing that today. I hope it encourages you in your own language journey, especially that I didn't learn language until I was much older. And so it's a continual process for myself. Or maybe if you're a fluent speaker, you pick up a new activity you can do with your kids. And ultimately, just support you all in continuing your advocacy or activism for immersion programming. So like I said, I'm a second language learner. I did not learn until I was about 23. And growing up, I only knew like makwa, miigwech, very simple things to say. And so when I went off to university, I really struggled with understanding what it means to be where I come from, or what it means to be me, essentially, and what it means to come from Couchiching or Mish, and to really understand what it means to be Anishinaabe. Like I really struggled with all of those kinds of questions. And so when I went to school, I really didn't know who I was, like where I came from, anything. And I started to feel this really poor self-esteem. And so when I had finished my first degree, I decided to go back home or back to the north. And I enrolled in a spring immersion program with this beautiful elder from the north. And during our time together, she really infused a lot of love into me. And this idea that if you take care of language like Anishinaabemowin, it takes care of you. And I have found that to be nothing but true. And the more time I put into it, the better and more confident I feel about going into the world. And I'm very much centered and rooted in who I am. So it's just built up my confidence. And so I share that with you as a way of just continuing to work on it. And it's such humbling work, learning Anishinaabemowin, because there are highs and lows, but the language is there for us too. And basically from that idea, I decided I wanted to work with kids to ensure that they were never disconnected from language. So I taught at an immersion school in the United States. And I just want to share this one story of this moment there. So in the springtime at Wodokodading, which is the school, they take their kids out sugar bushing. And so all the kids are running around, they're screaming, "Oh, my egamuk, my egamuk." And that means snowshoe. So they actually didn't know the word in English. They only knew it in Anishinaabemowin. And so when we were walking out through the maple bush, they're on their egamuk. And some of the boys, they start ripping the branches off the trees and hitting each other and fighting and playing. And I went up to them and I started talking about how the maple trees, they give us so much. So we want to give it back to them. And these boys, they saw the knots in the trees, the knots, and they're like, "Oh my goodness, the trees have eyes and they can see us." And I'm like, "And they can hear you." And in that moment, they switched from using the tree as something to play with to seeing the tree as something that they can take care of and takes care of them. So they built this like relationship to the tree, and they started playing tag with them and really showing respect towards the trees. And it was in that moment that the kids no longer saw trees as resources or something that they could exploit, but in fact as a relationship, and that this is a living being. So it's a reciprocal relationship. And I didn't have to teach them that. I basically just spoke Ojibwe to them, and they understood the concept basically. So the idea that the Couchiching Minopematuzuin, the Anishinaabemowin Ando-gikendamowin, like, yeah, the more that they speak the land, the better. And so that's part of my work. And I just share that as this nice little story of kids in the sugar bush. So today, we're going to move into the activity of bookmaking. I just want to talk about bookmaking for a second. So the books that we're going to be making are very simple. They're just folded out open books like this. This one has a little pop-up snowflake in it, but we're not going to do pop-ups. And so it's just a simple 4-page book. And this is what we'll be making. But I want to also show you other book ideas. And what I love about books is that when I make them with kids, they can come up with all these different stories and ideas, and they can use any like scrap newspapers or materials in their homes, cardboard, maybe things we wouldn't have thought of to make books. So this is an accordion style book. It has a random button I found, a little piece of string. There's a birch bark button on the back, and it opens up like an accordion. So it's just a new way of imagining books. So that's one. This is called an accordion style book. And it opens up like this, and they can collage and paint and do all kinds of cool things in there. And then lastly, I made this little book for my husband, and it's a little book of warm wishes. So there's like little notes of "I love you" in it, and it opens up like a little flower. But basically, you could make these books with anyone you're doing immersion programming with, because it infused play into learning. It reinforces reading and writing skills, so you can make your own books, allows for imagination. Kids create all kinds of cool stories, and then they share these books with one another, which is really nice. Or even if they're drawing, they share stories. It's learning by hands-on and using observational skills. And so when I was in immersion programming, one day I made this paper boat, and the 12 kids came around me and like watched me and were so excited. And I was able to reinforce like, "Oh, ojiganan," and those words around making that. And I had to make 12 little boats, but we were able to make a story out of it too. Okay, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the activity in English before we get into the immersion piece of it. Today, we're going to be doing some folding, some cutting, and drawing. So we're going to learn how to make the book by folding it, make one cut into it, and then just create the book. Then we're going to go through some curated questions around drawing an animal. So it'll be like, what does the animal look like? What does he smell like? What does he sound like? Etc. And you can draw an animal imagined or real. It's entirely up to you. Sometimes kids, they'll make these really exotic wild animals, and I'm like, okay, cool. That's cool too. So whatever you want to do. And we'll have a curated time of doing that. So I'm just going to pop into the chat some important vocab. Ooh, maybe I'll do it again. So the one piece I do want to go over is I'm going to say a lot, Couchiching First Nation. So when I say that, I want you to show me on the screen what step you're at. Couchiching First Nation. And then that'll just ensure that we're going along at the same pace. We're going to be folding. So Ojiganan. We'll be using the scissors. A bachatun. Oasi is the animal. And nashke. I'll go ninatam, nashke. Look at me first. Midashkaikenin, then you. So there are some little pieces that might be a little bit more complicated to get through. So once again, Couchiching First Nation. Maybe you want to show me, let's see if everyone has their Mazina'iganikewin Gishpin. If you have it, Nation. Your paper, Nation. Mazina'igan. Let's see. Oh, yeah. Great. Okay. Gemujwagen. Gedakunana. Gemujwagen. Nation. Oh, wow. Way when there. Minoa. Gedojabi Ganak. Nation. Great. Okay. We're feeling good. We're feeling ready. Gidoji tamna. Yeah. Akwe kika Mazina'iganikewin chipwa Mazina'iganikewin. Kakina wea we naden ke Mazina'iganikewin. Ke Mazina'iganikewin. Nation. Deja get to go. Nation. Oh, Migwayak. Nongom. Abita ojiganan ako ginwegak. Kakinaoya. Ojiganan ako ginwegak. Gawin oma api. Abita ojiganan. Abita ojiganan ako ginwegak. Couchiching First Nation. Ginwega. Going in a gokwadeasi. Ginwega. Couchiching First Nation. Oh, wow, Norman. Yeah, and K. You know what, K? Oh, wow. Nongom. Bakiganan. Abita ojiganan in a gokwadeag. Dabishko. Iwe. Abita ojiganan in a gokwadeag. Yeah. Abita ojiganan in a gokwadeag. Couchiching First Nation. Migwayak. Nongom, Minawa Abita ojiganan in a gokwadeag. Dabishko. Nashke. Yeah. Minawa Abita ojiganan in a gokwadeag. Eya. Eya. Gizi tu yen away. Wabanda ishan. Nasabna. Eya. Eya. Migoyak. Janice. Eya. Migoyak. Migoyak. Minoa. Minoa. Ojiganan. Inakukwedeyak. Eya. Gizi tu yen away. Wabanda ishan. Dabishko. Dabishko away. Eya. Eya. Nungam akoy ninatam. Nashke. Nashke. Dabishko away. Bakiganan. Eya. Eya. Nungam dash away. Naden gemujwagen. Gemujwagen. Eya. Gedakonana mujwagen. Waywane. Apachatun mujwagen. Jikwayaku jaman. Ninatam. Nashke. Apachatun mujwagen. Jikwayaku jaman. Abata. Eya. Going oma. Oma. Yeah. Apachatun mujwagen. Jikwayaku jaman. Yeah. Gizi tu yen away wabanda ishan. Oh wow. Yeah, yeah. Aha. Becca. Kana. Yeah, yeah. Digwayak Norman. Akwe ni natam. Midash dash gainin. Nashke away, Oma. Ojiganan away, Kea. Dabishko wabikwan. Yeah. Ginatam. Ojiganan away, Kea. Dabishko wabikwan. Yeah. Gijituyan away, wabinda ishan. Wabikwan. Yeah. Ooh, migoyak, migoyak. Becca. Norman Kana. Aha. Nungom. Oe Kea. Ojiganan. Dabishko Mazina'igan. Noah. Ojiganan. Dabishko Mazina'igan. Yeah. Oh wow. Norman. Mazina'igan. Yeah. Yeah. Gijituyan away wabanda ishin Mazina'igan. Oh, Mazina'iganis. Ha. Hi. Hi. Yeah. Miajagua. Miajagua. Miajagua ke ishi na katawanamad awensi. Awensi. Magaja makwa. Magaja maingan. Na katawanamad awensi. Awensi. Eya. Eya gakena oya. Awensi. Mi win gay. Mazana be what? Nashkeoma. Bakiganan Mazina'igan. Bakiganan Mazina'igan. Oma Mazanabian Aninajanagosit awea. Aninajanagosit awea. Magaja Mindeduna. Mindedona. Agashiena. Agashiena. Anishinaabemowin. Oh yeah. Nin makwa. Mazina'iganikewin makwa. Magajagita Mazina'iganikewin. Nin makwa. Anishinaabemowin makwa. Indito. Elizabeth. Kita Mazina'iganikewin. Mazina'igan. Na? Omana. Oh. Gijitu away wabinda ishin away si. Nin makwa. Oh wow, waboos. Yeah. Wabuma. Gijitu away wabinda ishin. Oh wow. Kukushna? Oh. Oh, Zagatun. Oh, waboos. Wow. Neoma Mazina'iganikewin anin enetagozit awea. Enetagozit awea awesi. Dabishko. Peep 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 peep. Na? Na? Anin enetagozit awesi. Mazina'iganikewin. Mazina'iganikewin. Gijitu away wabinda ishin. Makwa. Gikendamowin. Aha. Miowe gaiji Mazina'iganikewin. Bama nagach kika gijitu gishpin gijitu siwan. Bama. Miigwechka kina gabi eyayek nongo. Bama nagach kika gijitu gishpin gijitu siwan. Miigwechka kina gabi eyayek nongo.
Miigwech.
Miigwech, Norman. Nongom dash jagana shimong. Okay. Hi, everyone. And thank you for working in the immersion space and trying out making in the immersion. And so often when I'm doing immersion spaces with young ones, it's so nice to make. And it's not about remembering all of the words, but it's about learning new skills or repetition. I hope each of you at least leave today with wabinda ishin. Show it. Show me. Wabinda ishin. That kind of thing, or Mazina'iganikewin, little book. But we have about 5 minutes left. Are there any questions around bookmaking or immersion spaces, or thinking about ways to infuse immersion into your programming? And if you want to keep working on your book, that's fine. I'm going to insert the Padlet. Some people have been making their book throughout the programming, and they're going to put it at the end. Put a photo of it, so I'll just insert it in the chat here. Yeah, I love it. All about me. Yeah, so you can make a book all about me. What's my name, where I'm from, what I like to do. Anishinaabemowin, Couchiching, that kind of thing. And if not, you can always try to make a book to impress someone. I'll share this very special book with you. So this book, Mishkeegogamang made for me when he wanted to marry me. He made this book for me, my husband, and he made it from scratch. And so the fabric was sewn in, everything was bound. And then at the end, he put Ndotem, Name. He put my clan, and there's a little pocket for Anishinaabemowin. But I hope this gave you a chance to get away from the Zoom and try to make a little bit and infuse some making into your day. So yeah, I'll just leave it for questions for another, I think, 2 minutes we have left. Or maybe Anishinaabemowin has a question.
I don't think I have any questions. That was really awesome. I think everyone enjoyed doing that.
And all of the instructions, if you want to do this workshop with your kids, it's on the Padlet. So all the language is there, the audio is there too. And yeah, just repetition.
Yes, everything's in the Padlet and also linked through the schedule and linked in the Google Drive folder. So there's lots of places you can grab it. Okay, I think I am going to, what time is it? Got 1 more minute. Does anybody have any questions? Comments?
Anyone want to show their drawing? Yeah, and definitely, like, as a second language learner, repetition is key. Joyce?
Sabe. I drew the sabe.
Oh, lovely.
Okay, I'm going to close the rooms and resort everybody, and you'll head right into your next breakout room.
Miigwech.
Cass.
Bama.
Bama.
Miigwech.